Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Gritty Hour. Today I have a very special guest, Andy Dietrich, who is the author of a pretty funny book, I'm told. I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but it's called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. And if the title doesn't give away the sarcasm, buying the book and reading it will probably cheer your day up. Welcome to the Gritty Hour, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You said a special guest, which is funny. You mentioned that literally on the back of the book, the first quote is, well, as a child, we always knew he was special. And that was my mom who said it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. As long as it's not special like the Olympics, you know.
Not,
But
not that kind of special, just in my own way special, right?
okay, well, that's good. You have to be special in this world, you know.
Mhm.
Andy and I are sitting here talking to each other thanks to Walt, who is the host of the Be Raw podcast, who I had him on as a guest few episodes ago, and he recommended Andy and I get a hold of one another and have you on. And want to give a shout out to Walt, and we appreciate you connecting Andy and myself.
100%. Walt is a really, really solid guy. His podcast is totally legit. So if you need something else to listen to, go jump online, type in B Raw podcast. You'll see plenty of episodes to keep you entertained. That was my plug for him because he, like you said, set this up for us.
Yes, he's on my playlist in my car. I listen to podcasts in my car mostly, and I only listen to maybe 4 or 5 of them, but he's been added to that. He's a real good guy. You talk to him for 10 minutes, you feel like you've known him your whole life.
Totally agree.
Yeah, when I had him on as a guest, I was going to start mentioning people from the neighborhood when we were growing up, thinking, almost got lost in them, but he makes you feel right at home right away.
He does. Good guy.
So,
Absolutely.
but I did watch his podcast with you, and I got a kick out of you there. And so, how's the book going? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. How's that book going for you?
It's been a labor of love. It's been a passion project, right? It's not like a publishing house reached out to me and says, "Hey, we want you, here's an advance to write a book." No, it was something that I've done on my own time without any pressure, just to kind of just see if I could do it. I have enough interesting stories and experiences to share, and I figured maybe there's enough here for a book. And then once I start, putting these stories together, I did a little bit of writing. I don't consider myself a writer, but I did a little bit of writing, here and there. And then as I put it together, as I passed the 100-page threshold, I realized, hey, I got something here. So I saw it to the finish line. It took a while. It took about 2 years, 2.5 years. Now that's also with 3 months off here, 4 months off there. It came in waves. But then once I got about 80% done, I figured I only have to push it a little bit further. So I just, shoved it through. Shove is the wrong term. Pushed it through,
Hmm.
gently nudged it through the finish line. Got it published over on Amazon. Got a bunch of physical copies. Told my friends and family and coworkers about it. And yeah, that's my I've done it. Check mark.
Yeah, and as I understand, I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but as I understand it, it's anecdotes and stories about the best laid plans of mice and men, so to speak, and the funny things that happen to you
Uh,
as you try and execute certain plans or
Yeah,
ideas.
so the subtitle is Short Stories About Friendship, Growth, and Social Misdemeanors, and I think that really wraps it up nicely, right? It's divided into two halves. The first half I call silly stories, and there really are silly stories from my life, my experiences, the dumb silly things that happened to me, the foot and mouth moments, the oh did he really just say that moments, and then the second half is a little more serious, a little bit more. I don't know, a little more somber in tone. It's still somewhat lighthearted, but I go into some more. It's basically me standing on top of a soapbox and ranting about a bunch of opinions that I have, some unpopular opinions. I'm happy to share those as well as a taster here, maybe. But it's just me. It's unapologetically me. If you know me in person, there is literally nothing in the book that you would not think that yes, that came out of my mouth. Absolutely.
Well, you're a young guy. You look like you're about 14.
You're
So
funny.
So
I
you got
appreciate it. I'll
you
take
got
it.
a lot of experience to make a part two, I'm thinking, as you go.
If you reverse those numbers, you might be closer to the actual age, but I appreciate it.
But
Thank
you're
you.
still, from my point of view, you're still young enough where maybe you'll make enough mistakes to make a part two to the
Hey,
book.
hey, I like to think I learned from them, okay? Not making twice.
Oh no, you make different ones.
Oh, okay. There's
It's
still
what
plenty of room, right?
it's what makes life interesting, Andy.
That's true.
So.
Actually, that comment itself makes life interesting. That actually drives the point home, right? That really summarizes the entire the synopsis of the book, right? There's a saying I was once told that if you come to a fork on the road, you take it.
Mm.
One of the things I comment on in the book is that life beckons, right? Life beckons to give you adventures, stories, experiences, but you have to answer the call. Life is not going to happen to you if you decide to sit at home playing video games all day, right? If you sit on the couch all day watching TV, which has its merits too, but if you just decide to be a passive player in life, then don't expect it to pay you any favors either. So
Hmm. You get out of it what you put into it, like anything
that's right,
else. Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I could tell from your accent you weren't born in Brooklyn, so I'll ask you where you're from originally.
Sure. Born in Germany, in Berlin.
Oh,
Then my parents got divorced when I was at an early age. My mom and I moved to the Black Forest area of Fairbanks. Wow. Now, hold up. Black Forest area of Germany. Then
uh-huh.
at 14, my mom and I immigrated to Fairbanks, Alaska. There's a little
Okay.
story that goes along with that as well. Spent my formative years, high school years in Fairbanks and experienced -40 on a couple occasions.
Nice.
And then I joined the military, enlisted at 19. I was stationed in Southern California for a couple years. And then I got out in 2004, moved my butt to Las Vegas. I've been here ever since.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Fairbanks, Alaska sounds pretty good right now as we're recording. Today is what is the 25th of June.
hmm
It was 98 degrees high today.
hmm
But you're in Vegas, so who am I complaining to?
98 in the depth of summer is a cool day. We don't see that in August ever. Once we pass triple digits, we rarely dip down below them until summer is over.
You start using it's a dry heat line.
I will say, okay, look, 115 degrees is exhausting there is no other way to put it, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you go outside, it's like being hit in the face or the entire body with a blow dryer, right? With a hair dryer. There is nothing that'll save you from it except for going towards cooler. You can't just will yourself cooler at that heat, right? You just hot period. But I will say I've been in hot and humid, and I'll take the dry heat over that any day.
Yeah, I get you. So, what made you go to Vegas? What made you settle in Vegas?
Yeah, so I was dating a girl back in the day. I
Hmm.
was getting out of the military, and she had a couple friends here in Vegas. And when we synced up with said friends for New Year's shenanigans, I said, "Hey guys, I'm getting out of the military in a couple months. I don't have a place lined up. I don't have a job lined up. Could I crash at your extra room for a couple months till I get on my feet?" And they're like, "Sure, no problem." And that story then unfolded into a couple months worth of drama. It was a gay couple that I was perfectly fine with, but then there was some drama with among them and some of the people they brought over, and that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. I don't think we'll have enough time here to explain all that. But long story short, it catapulted me, gave me the opportunity to move to Vegas, have a couch to crash on for a bit, and then when the drama got too much, I decided to move out, got my own place, and just started living life as a young 20-something, fresh out of the military, trying to figure out my life, my purpose, my path, and made some errors along the way, but it worked out for the better, and here I am.
Good. And I'm sure that I don't know what the work life is over there. Is casino related? There's plenty of that job
There,
available.
yeah, there is. I've done my fair share. I'm an IT guy. I've done computers for 30 years now. I love my work. I may not always love the job. I've always loved my work, and I've worked for a handful of casinos on this trip and off this trip. And this is definitely a different kind of, different velocity, different lifestyle, different work-life balance. I don't. I recommend everyone try it out once, but I also recommend that you don't make it your life.
Yeah. I didn't know that's what you did as a profession, but it brings me to a question I've been obsessed with now for the last few weeks, and that's the onset of AI
Yeah,
as it promulgates throughout our economy.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
It's not going away. This is one of those technologies that, unlike NFTs, unlike some of the other quack technologies that you kind of scratch your head at, AI will not go away. And I'll put 5 cents on that statement. It's here to stay. It's only going to get better or worse, depending on how you look at it. And I think there are some really, really good applications for it. They've shown examples where they fed a bunch of medical, like MRI scans into AI, and it can spot cancer, way earlier and way more accurately than some doctors can. I think those are phenomenal, phenomenal applications for it. So it's here to stay. Get used
Yeah.
to it and use it yourself.
Yeah, before we started recording, I had mentioned I just did an interview with someone who was an actor mostly in Hollywood, and that came up then because I'm obsessed with it now, Andy.
Hmm.
And he was saying he expected to replace all of the writers and maybe down the road the actors.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. There's obviously image generation, there's video generation, and it looks the 5 second clips, the 10 second clips, even the minute long clips you see online, they are, for the most part, very, very, very believable. Now, will that ever unfold into a feature length film? Maybe not today, but how, just like technology, right? Look at, for example, the solar, technology that came out, what, 20 years ago, it just wasn't ready for residential commercial usage, but they've brought the price down. Hell, I got solar on top of my roof now, and it's great. So AI may not be where it needs to be today to generate a full length film that is that you can watch and say yes, that was enjoyable. But give it some time. I mean, the future has. Let's put it this way. My mom once said, "We live in interesting times," so I'm going to use that.
Yes, when I was a kid, I don't want to get involved in this, but I used to be amazed at what my grandmother lived to be 99 years old. She was born in 1886, died in
Wow.
1985. And I used to marvel at what she saw in her lifetime,
Yeah.
the Industrial Revolution, two world wars, the whole nine yards.
Model T. I mean, things that we completely take for granted, right?
Yeah, yeah. But now I think back on my own lifetime. I'm 114 myself.
Clearly.
All of the advances and changes I've seen in my
Yeah,
lifetime.
yeah.
So it's, change is good.
For the most part, right? I
You
mean, I
know.
think I think there is a healthy scoop of I think you have to be ready for change, right? I think change is like a wave, right? If you're going in that direction, great, swim with it, right? But if you're not, if you're facing the other way, you're not gonna like it. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It can be good or bad, right? Depending on which way you're facing.
Yeah. Well, would you and I be talking on a video coast to coast 20 years ago, 25 years ago? No.
Not like this. No, you're absolutely
So
right.
there's good and bad and everything, but you got to, glean the good out of the bad.
I still marvel at, so I got online per se in the mid 50s, 50s. Wow, what am I talking about? In the
You're
mid 90s.
114
Oh
years
my
old
God.
too. Yeah.
I was visualizing 1995 and the five stuck with me, so I said 1950s. All right. Anyway, in the mid 90s, I got onto
Uh-huh.
the internet with a dial-up modem, and I saw the internet as it was back in the day. And it was definitely a different landscape of the internet, right? But I still marvel at the fact that on a good day, on a 33.6 modem, I could download, a movie or an MP3 at 2.8 kilobytes a second. If you're in IT, if you're a geek like me, that means something to you. Nowadays, I'm still shocked and amazed and just floored that with not even the biggest or most expensive cable connection you can download stuff at multiple dozens of megabytes per second. It's still insane to me that technology has come so far in that short amount of time.
Yeah, it's almost on demand. You click on a movie you
Yeah,
want, and it's
absolutely.
and it's downloaded to your wherever you're viewing it on almost
That's right.
instantaneously.
Almost.
I I am old enough to remember like Prodigy was like. Do you remember Prodigy?
Prodigy. I'll hell yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. If you
Prodigy
want,
and
yeah. If you
AOL and it's
if
been
you want to go
fit.
down that rabbit hole, right? Angel. Sorry to interrupt you. I keep on
That's
doing that.
okay. No, it's fine.
Angel Fire, GeoCities, Tripod, all those deliciously awful web hosting sites that at the time were the best thing in the world. And looking back, God, it was so cheesy, but it worked well.
Yeah, and if you wanted to splurge and get on the cusp of technology, you got yourself a 56K modem.
My God. Now
You
you
know,
talking.
lightning speed
That's right.
56K modem.
Click
You
done.
know, and then the cable only gave you 12K speed anyway. So what the hell? So yeah, no. So the advances are there and will continue. And what's the alternative to just you know have the same thing in perpetuity? No.
Well,
So
I think there's value nowadays too, though, to say I'm just going to be a hermit for a couple of years, lock myself up in a cave with everything that I need, and come out when the dust has settled. There may be some value to that, you know?
yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes you could take a step out and look at the change from the outside, you know.
That's right.
But I don't know. I've always been open to change for the most
Hmm.
part, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't want to circle back to your Germany days. But your native tongue is German.
Yes.
I have to ask you, did you learn English over there or over here?
Yeah, no, so in Germany you have to learn English once you hit the fifth grade. There's really no way around that. So
Is
I
that
had a
right?
couple of yeah, had a couple formal years of English being taught to me from a book, right, from a British English speaker with a German accent. So I spoke British English with a German accent when I landed in Fairbanks. And they're definitely I'm very thankful for those couple years of a formal education. But there definitely were some growing pains, right? There was not just the swear words, which were of course interesting to me, but the sayings, the idioms, the cute little things that everyone here learns when you grow up. For example, the phrase "you're cruising for a bruising." When I first heard that when I was 14 years old, I cracked up because I thought it was the funniest freaking thing in the world. Of course, all my peers were like, "Yeah, okay, we all heard that when we are like 5 years old. Yeah, that's fine, but you don't understand. This is my first time hearing that, and it's hilarious."
Yeah. That's
There's
funny.
other things like I remember working at a coffee shop, and the owner, she called up and she goes, "Hey, do we need anything? Do we have to go to the store and get anything?" And I said, "Yes, we're running low on jalapenos." And there was this pause on the phone, and she goes, "What?" I said, "We're low on jalapenos." She goes, "What are you talking about?" So those little green things, spicy. She goes,
Oh,
"Oh,
the
you mean
jalapeno.
jalapenos?" And I go, "Hold on a minute." And me as a very literal, English speaker, if it's spelled a certain way, you pronounce it a certain way. It starts with a J. A J starts with a J sound,
Hmm.
not an H sound. Jalapeno. So of course, it didn't dawn on me that it's not an English word that we just kind of Americanize it from Spanish, but I didn't know that. I thought it was jalapeno. So,
Yeah.
and then of course you don't want to hear how I pronounce fajita. I'll leave that to your imagination.
Well, English is not the easiest language to learn in the first place. I guess in Germany, they're smart to teach you in fifth grade when it's easier to learn things in fifth grade than it is when you become an adult, I guess.
Yeah, I will say English is a very forgiving language. The grammar is easy to pick up. There are not a lot of conjugations like you have in most other languages. But it's also a very lazy language, in my opinion, right? I don't know, it's forgiving, but also lazy. But also it's very universally, usable because it has, so much application for so many different things. And I will say that even Germany, when I was visiting back there a couple years ago, even the kids are now speaking in this Denglish, right? Deutsch, English, and this Denglish hybrid where a lot of these kids will say, I was riding a train and these I don't know I assume they're in I don't know between 10 and 12 years old. These kids were saying, "Oh my God," not the German equivalent of "Oh mein Gott." They were saying literally, "Oh my God." So there's a lot of English influence that Germans, and I'm sure in every other country, that the kids are now borrowing and using. And I wouldn't be surprised that in 50 years maybe it's just going to become this mash of English and whatever the native tongue is, right?
That's probably heading in that direction. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I say 50 years, probably less than that, but anyway.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. So you emigrated to Fairbanks, Alaska.
Hmm.
And what was the reason you landed there?
Yeah, so my mother and my mom, I love her to death. She is a G. If you ever meet her, we call her Mama Dietrich, and we call her that for a reason. She is like one of the most genuine, solid, best people in the world. So she's always been very much in touch with her spiritual side, and she told me that she had a belief that she in a former life was a native Alaskan Inuit in what is now known as Fairbanks. Now, whether there is any truth to that, I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? She was under the impression that that was a past life that she lived, and that's all she needed, or that's all she kind of had for this draw. She had this connection with Alaska, especially Fairbanks, and she visited the place several times when we were still living in Germany. So much so that one day she came back. I was maybe 12, 13 years old, and she says, "Andy, one day I want to pack our stuff and move to Alaska." And I said, "Wherever you go, I go." And so, sure enough, when I turned 14, shortly thereafter, we literally just packed our stuff and we left. And we had maybe two suitcases with us, and that's it. And we started a whole new life.
Hope it was two suitcases filled with sweaters.
So it gets surprisingly warm in Fairbanks in the summertime. 80s, right? Mid 80s, maybe not any more than that, but it
Not
gets
bad.
comfortable, very
Yeah.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I'm jealous of them right now. It's 90, I think it's 96
Uh,
as we're talking. So,
yeah.
so that's like a cold spell over there. I understand.
I would love to be.
Yeah.
I would love to have some 80s right here in the middle of the summer.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's funny because we had a wicked spring here, a lot of cold and rainy days, and today is Wednesday, correct? As we're
Hmm.
recording.
All day.
Tomorrow, and it's been 90 plus. It was hit 100 a couple of times earlier in the week, and then tomorrow it's supposed to be in the 70s, and
Hmm.
Friday it's supposed to be in the 60s. So who the hell knows what's going on?
The weather's gonna make up its mind, right?
I miss those good old fashioned global warming days myself. Yeah. So this book is going well for you.
It's going pretty well. The initial wave of, hey, I wrote something, I told all my friends and coworkers and family about it. That initial wave kind of died down a little bit, so I'm trying to find other means to get it out there. Hence me talking to, people like you, people like Walt, trying to get my name out there, trying to get the book's name out there.
Sure.
I mean, truth be told, I have a decent paying IT job. I don't need this book to be successful for me to make a living.
Hmm.
However, in the back of my mind, if this book were to get into the right hands of a I don't know if a Wayne Brady or Joe Rogan or whoever, right, that says on his platform, hey, to my 100,000 followers, buy this book because it's awesome. You know what? That'll make my day.
Yeah, yeah, no. Well, this ain't Joe Rogan. I hate to tell you. You know,
Maybe someday.
I always use the analogy. Is it all right if I share your Amazon page, by the way,
Absolutely.
where
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
the book's at as we're talking?
Yeah.
I believe that's the correct one. Yeah. Yeah, I always use the analogy if Joe Rogan was Johnny Carson, I'm on cable public access.
I could see it.
Yeah,
100%. Yep.
it's a damn good analogy, believe me.
Yeah.
So this is the book, Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Short stories about friendship, growth, and social misdemeanors. Now, the little blurb on the top, even the blurb sounded funny. But the reviews, I don't know how much you had to pay for all these reviews. Just kidding. But they're all 5 stars, and they all just echo one another in that they're all very funny. It's a
Thank
funny
you.
read.
I have gotten my first hater review, and I think that it
Oh,
speaks to
really?
itself that once you have your first hater, you've made it.
Yes.
So,
You talking about
so
this
right
two
there,
star
right,
here?
yep,
I'm
right there.
I'm I'm not gonna read it. I'm not
And
gonna
no,
read
no,
it.
but there was no comment left on it. It was just a two-star submit. You don't have to leave a comment. It was just a two-star without any comment.
Oh,
So I'm guessing my educated guess is that it was an ex-girlfriend that found out about it, who may
oh.
still be bitter about the breakup, who then says, you know what, 1 star could just be a rogue Chinese hacker, clicking on it because his script went wrong. But no, a 2 star, that sounds like some vindictive, ex-girlfriend thing to do of, I don't want to leave just 1 star. I'll give you one more for writing the damn thing, but I still hate you for what you did. So 2 stars. Boom.
Well, in that case, I won't say anything. I was going to say let's get the boys together and find out where the hell that guy is. But if it's an ex-girlfriend, we'll leave it. We'll leave it be.
That's
No,
perfectly fine.
just kidding. The reviews are all very good, and they all, like I say, echo one another. That it's a funny book, and I don't know. Do you think it can be characterized as a dry sense of humor? Because I know it. I've read the word sarcasm. Trying to do my due diligence here. I've read the word sarcasm all over the place about the book.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of there's a healthy scoop of sarcasm and dry humor and cynicism in almost everything, in almost all the chapters and the stories. Um, I think that dark humor, if it's how about this? It's one thing to be inappropriate, and it's one thing to be offensive, but if you have dry humor with sarcasm and wit, and it's clever, that to me, that speaks to me, right? So I think that combination, the dark sarcasm, I'm sorry, the dark humor, the sarcasm, but the wit, it has to be clever,
Hmm.
in my opinion, for it to be worthwhile. It's easy to say something offensive. It's difficult, or it takes more energy, more wit to come up with something clever that has a dark spin on it.
Right. And you said you were this was gnawing at you for quite some time to get this out.
Yeah, I
And it was
realized
something
I
you felt
was
like you needed to do.
Yeah, I realized I was telling the same 20 stories over and over and over, and just like a comedian that rehearses his material, after you tell it over and over and over, you get the cadence, the momentum, the punchline, right? You get all those little things dialed in.
Hmm.
And then I thought, hey, and then I've had a couple of friends of mine say things like, you should write a book, like your stories are entertaining. they're engaging, they tell a story, and I thought, well, sure, of course, people just say that. And I thought, well, maybe there's something to it. So I just started as I told these stories, I would write them down on my phone just to remind myself later, and I would start writing out these chapters. And like I said, once I hit 100 pages, I was worried about not having enough meat for an actual book, right? Like 50 pages or so doesn't make a book.
Right.
But like I said, once I hit 100 pages, and then once I kept going after that, I realized, yep, there's something here. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
So this is it came from Bar Stories. You tell a funny story, you get a free drink.
Something like that. There, if almost always when I'm in a social settings with friends or coworkers or whatever it is, almost always there is something that somebody will have a story, they'll share an anecdote or something personal, and then there's something that they say, and within their story reminds me of a silly or entertaining or insightful thing that happened to me. For example, we were we're we were at a festival here in downtown Las Vegas, and I was waiting in line at the bar, waiting to get drinks for the group, and we were shoulder to shoulder. We're about 5 people deep at the bar, trying to get the bartender's attention, and then the gal in front of me, she gets her drinks, and she has them, one in each hand, and as she's turning around, she accidentally brushes against my midsection with her elbow. She didn't see me. She tried turning around, and she just, like I said, very gently brushes up against me. And me being the drama queen that I am, I said, "Oh, you hurt me. Oh." And she goes, "I'm so sorry." And she was genuinely apologetic. She's like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't see you." And then I look up at her, and again, just me trying to be the most Andy that I could be, I said, "You always hurt the ones you love, don't you?" And so she like froze, and you could see her like she was reliving an experience in her head, and she
Oh,
goes, "Oh my God, I do." I'm like, "Oh shit, I did not mean to send you back to therapy. I'm so sorry. No, that's just me being silly."
and you were going to ask her out, and you decided to get it.
That didn't quite happen, but it was just a matter of, look, it's just situational. I was trying to make someone's day with my silliness. It didn't quite hit the way I wanted to, but I got a good story out of it. So here we are.
Yeah, but you got to give her credit for not spilling the drinks.
That's true. Yeah, well,
You
she
know,
could have.
that's key. That's key.
Most
Yeah, no.
important thing, don't spill the liquor, right? We call
Yeah,
it alcohol abuse. You can't spill the liquor.
absolutely. Now you're talking. Rule number one in a bar. Yeah, so that's funny, and so a lot of these are first-hand accounts that you found humor in, or they were humorous to begin with.
Yeah, these are all my personal stories. All these happened to me. Now, there was a couple of jokes and one-liners and dad jokes and non-jokes and some other things that obviously are borrowed from other people, right? Not all the actual jokes. There's some actual just jokes with punchlines in there. Not all those are my own original creative work, but all the stories that have me in them, that have friends in them, those are all my experiences, my original, my life. It's all condensed and put on paper.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put a link to this page if that's okay on
Absolutely.
our show notes. You
If you
haven't?
want to, if you actually go to that tab right there, andysbook.com,
Yeah,
the
that's
first
what I
tab
was
we
going to
have.
show next.
Perfect.
I was going to say you're not on Instagram yet or
So
Twitter
I do, yeah, I do have a personal one, but it's not appropriate for, I shouldn't say
for the
not
book.
appropriate. It doesn't align well with the book because it's just my
Yeah.
own personal Instagram. I'm working on getting social media presences out there, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I understand that. It's a relatively new venture for you, this book, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
100%.
So it'll get there.
Yeah.
But there he is in a different shirt.
My my cat shirt, it was the Irish, right? I do wear the shamrock around my neck, but that shirt what happens just happens to be a green Irish looking cat that I just happened to wear that day. But it works well with the rest of the picture. So
Well,
there
now
it
as an
was.
Irish American, I have to ask you, where the hell did you get that? Or why do you wear that?
The shamrock or the shirt?
Yeah, the shamrock.
Okay. So the shamrock is my reminder that you have to make your own luck, right? Nothing is guaranteed, nothing is given. You're responsible at the end of the day to make your own life happen. I was member of a fraternity here at UNLV when I went to college, and I would tell the young guys, right, the pledges as they're going through the process, as they're becoming brothers. I would tell those guys, I would say, hey, look, you are starting with a clean slate. You are starting from square one, like all of us. You may have been the hot shit in high school. You may have been the outcast in high school. It does not matter. You all start from the same, from nothing here. But it also goes both ways. If you wake up, 2 years down the line, and you are admitting to yourself that you're not having the life that you want, you're not having the social circle, not having the fun that you want, you're 2 years into being in the fraternity, that's on you. Like you make your own path, you make your own experiences. Nothing is given to you. You have to work for the things that you want. And if you don't like where you are, the only person who's responsible for fixing that is you.
Right. Good job. That's a good outlook to have.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Um, well, that's good. Well, that explains that. I thought you were going to give me some sort of deep Irish connection. I was,
I mean,
uh, uh,
I used to drink a lot. I can say maybe back in the day I used to drink like an Irishman, but I've
well, there
actually
you
cut down
go.
my
Now,
alcohol intake quite a bit since then. But
now I'm
not
starting to understand your accent. No, that's very good. So, do you have plans for another book? Is was going to be my next obvious question.
So doubtful. Now,
Yeah.
if a publisher were to come to me and say, "Look, Andy, here's $50,000 to write part two," maybe I could be convinced, right? But as it stands right now, this book is a culmination of a lot of different things that I've experienced. I wouldn't say I've emptied the well on this one, but I've definitely taken quite a bit out of it. So I would say I doubt it, but I'd never say never.
Now start with a
Um,
new well and fill that up.
there you go. Fill up with experiences, right? Makes sense. No,
Right.
I would say I would say I definitely have calmed down quite a bit over the last like decade or so. That the silliness that I used to get myself into, I let's just say I learned a lot of lessons over the years, and I don't get myself into these situations quite nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean it has to be this kind of a book either.
That's very true. Yeah, like I said, part two is a little more retrospective, a little more introspective. Me standing on a soapbox, like I said, there's a lot more, I don't know, maybe experiences that I'm more than happy to share on that note, and with those kind of topics. Maybe there's a little more meat there. But again, I this is my passion project, like I said. So I'm happy with what it turned into. I'm happy with the reception of it. I'm happy with how far I've gotten it so far, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Well, you have a good speaking voice. You might want to join Walt and I in the podcast world.
Maybe I don't know. Well,
I don't
maybe
know if you
I'll
saw the memo,
explore.
but there's only 6 people left in America that don't have a podcast, and your name came up on
Hey,
it.
my name is on the list, on the short list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
competition then I see.
Yeah, might be something in your future. You certainly have a good speaking voice and carry a conversation well.
Thank you. Thank
Why
you.
not? So that's good. I'm looking forward to reading it. United States Postal Service will get it to me eventually.
If I can do the other plug right now, if you or your listeners would like to get a book on me with a signature in it, I still have a few left that I'm happy to send out. If you go to andysbook.com/gift, and you trust me with your information, and I promise I will not go anywhere except for the purpose of me sending you a book. Andysbook.com/gift, punch in your information, hit submit. I'm more than happy. I have a few copies left. Like I said, I'll send you one.
Very cool. I wish I hadn't ordered mine yet.
Hey, I
I'm only
appreciate
kidding.
you spending your hard-earned money on no, I'll just give you I'll level with you, right? So I charge $12 for it online. My cut is $4.80. So I'm not gonna get rich off of it anytime soon.
No, but it'll buy you a cup of coffee anyway.
There you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I like it. So I
Uh,
appreciate your patronage.
oh, absolutely. Hopefully, some of my listeners will jump on here and get some of them too.
Exactly.
Um, how many have left of the free ones?
A handful. I got enough. If there's enough demand, I'm more than happy to get a couple more copies on me. I get what's called author's copies that end
Uh-huh.
up being $3 a pop. Not quite sure how Amazon gets those numbers, but I can order a bunch, whether it be 10 or 100 or 1,000 author's copies, and I get them for $3 a pop. They ship them to me, and I can do with them whatever I want. So
Yeah. Every time I interview someone who wrote a book and it's predominantly on Amazon as yours is, I always look at the Kindle. I say, why the hell didn't I just join Kindle? You know?
right? I will say, um, the the way it's broken down on my side for people that purchase the paperback as opposed to Kindle, Kindle makes up maybe 3%, like a tiny sliver
Hmm.
of the purchases. It is available there if you want it. That's great. I will say, however, that the physical copy, the paperback, there's a lot of footnotes. There's a lot of little visual things that I throw into it. I would honestly say that it's a lot more entertaining, and you get a lot more bumper to bumper engagement with the stories if you have the paperback. There's some
Yeah.
things that you lose when you look at it on a screen.
Yeah. I read a lot of books every year, and I always prefer to have it physically in my hand.
Yeah, yeah,
It's akin akin, is that the right word?
Akin, yeah, akin,
Yeah,
yeah,
of downloading music or having an album in your hand.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just old school that way. I'd rather
I
have the
totally
book in my hand.
understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand. Yep.
All right, very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Tom, thank you. This is good.
And one more time, I just want to give a shout out to Walt from B Raw Podcast for putting us together and having you come on the Gritty Hour. I watched your episode with him, which is he's a fun guy. You're a fun guy, so it's an
Thank you.
easy. It's an easy listen. So good luck with the book, and reach out to me when you have the next idea. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
come out with an audio version of this.
So I thought about it.
Uh huh.
Once this gets a little more traction, once there's an actual audience for it, I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I want to do it if there actually is a demand for it. If the day comes, I'm more than happy to. I'm more than happy to be the narrator of the stories because I think there's a lot of little things that come with me actually narrating it instead of me outsourcing it. So I would
Right.
definitely be the one if that day comes to present it to the listening world.
Yeah, I think you should. How long has this been out? Only a couple of months it's been out, right?
No, so this is I think 2 years, 2 years
Oh,
ago,
2 years. Okay.
yeah, summer of 2023, I believe. Yep.
Hmm. All right. Well, very good. Um,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yeah.
I'll shoot you an email when I'm done reading it.
Please. And all I ask for, even if you get a free copy, leave a genuine review when you're done. And really mean genuine. If you liked it, you can say that. If you didn't like it, you can say that too. I have thick skin. I can take the heat, right? If you generally did not like my opinions, my stories, my inappropriate humor, you can say hated it because it just didn't speak to me. 1 star. Cool. That's fine. Like just be genuine about your review.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I will. I know most of the people that have read it liked it, so except for your
Damn well.
ex-girlfriend.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she probably loved it actually.
that's what the second star came from, right?
Yeah, yeah, she loved it and just didn't want to say it.
That's right. I can read between the lines. I hear you. Whoever it is, if you're listening, I hear you.
Yes, well, that's all right. All right, Andy, thank you so much for being on the Gritty Hour, and best of luck with this book.
Thank you.
And we'll leave a as I say, we'll leave a link to this page in the show notes if you're listening to us or watching us. And we'll see you further on up the road, Andy.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
I'm
Had a
going
good
to be
time.
on the B Raw podcast in July, so I gotta treat him good till then. All right, take care, Andy. Thank you so
You too.
much for being on. Let me see. This is where I prove to my viewing audience that I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. So hold on. And there it is. All right. Well, have a great night, Andy. I appreciate you
Thank you
coming
too,
on.
Tom.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.